Welcome back to American Warrior Radio right here on the Talk to Me station, AM 1300 WMEL, and tell all your brothers, sisters, neighbors, co-workers, everybody they can listen online worldwide at 1300WMEL.com. And folks, we have an ever-growing list of listeners worldwide. From Afghanistan, we had, remember Rich from Pakistan?
Exactly.
I mean, you just heard Commander B's mother listens to us in Missouri. We get lots of feedback because we're one of the very, very few terrestrial radio shows specific to military and veterans issues.
Yeah, give them that contact again.
1300WMEL.com. Obviously, you always want to check out avetproject.org. AVET, an acronym, American Veterans Empowerment Team. If you go to the homepage and look at the lower left corner, click on the Facebook icon, it'll direct you. Even if you're not a Facebook member, you can enjoy all the benefits of looking at everything we do. And we do a lot, folks. We're an all-volunteer organization, and nobody gets a paycheck, but the amount of work we do and accomplish is amazing, and I'll tell you that straight up.
Phenomenal.
And Glenn and I are always interested in bringing you folks, you listeners, and share this information. That's why we tell you to grab a pen and paper.
Yeah.
Opportunities to either get something for free or to enjoy a deep discount because of your association with the military, which is my way of leading into our in-studio guest today, Luke Westbrooks from Store Smart. Say hello, Luke.
How y'all doing, gentlemen?
We're doing great. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's our pleasure to be here.
Well, amazing. Merry Christmas to you and yours. First of all, I want to get that out of the way.
Merry Christmas to you and yours as well. Merry Christmas to all the troops overseas who may be listening.
And that's really one of the things that we wanted to talk about. Store Smart. Tell us a little bit, before we get there, tell us a little bit about yourself, Luke.
I was born and raised in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I have a strong military background with my family. My grandfather was a Korean veteran. I was a prisoner of war for actually 3 years.
Wow.
My uncle is actually in Afghanistan right now as a civilian, laying fiber optic cable, things like that. So I definitely have a deep history with the military.
So you have an appreciation for what it takes and the sacrifices our military, kind of like a military brat. You've seen what happens with other family members.
So exactly. I've gotten to tour the facilities. I've gotten to see exactly what goes on behind the scenes, and I have nothing but the deepest respect for the men and women who serve our country.
And folks, I know this to be true because Store Smart, and Luke in particular and his associate Jack, now you're the manager of the facility we're talking about, right?
Yes, sir.
Where are you located right now?
I'm located at, if you know where Vieira Boulevard is, we're right on like the last left-hand turn before US 1. So we try to be as a central location as possible so people from Cocoa, Melbourne, the rest of Vieira can have a really ease of access to our facility.
And you offer storage. What else?
We do U-Haul truck rentals as well. We have all your packing needs. We really just try to be your one-stop shop for anything you may need. If you come to us, you may say, hey, we have all of this available, but we have nowhere to put it. I have the place to put it, the way to get it there, and stuff for you to put into it. Make it happen.
Certainly important for military since we tend to move around a lot. I know I moved 9 times in my career, and but tell us, I understand you've got some special deals or discounts for military and their families. Tell us about that, Luke.
Well, of course, it's not just for active military. We also want to take care of all of our veterans because we know that they made the same sacrifice as well.
Cool.
But typically, if you come in, depending on how long you need it, we have no problem providing you with really any assistance that you may want. We typically give, for even veterans and active military, normally a 30% discount.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. So while all you folks that are listening right now, especially this time of year, they've got maybe their Christmas decorations or they had to move stuff out of their house because relatives are coming in and they needed a place to put it, or after the holidays they're going to need some storage capacity. Here's the answer, right?
Oh, exactly. We have sizes going from 5x5 all the way up to like a 10x30. We also have non-climate units as well as climate control.
Explain that. What do you mean climate?
Especially in Florida where the humidity is always present. We just want to make sure that your belongings, especially if you're going overseas for years at a time even, that your items aren't going to get affected by mold, mildew, dust, pests, anything like that. If it's in our climate controlled environment, we have a way better way of accessing those units and keeping those from any damage that may happen.
Yeah, and you mentioned other veterans, so I presume that since retirees are also a military ID card holder, this apply, the discount would apply for them. And
Of course, typically, as long as you provide us with that military ID, we have no problem providing you with that same service. Because, like I said, everybody made that sacrifice, and just because you're not active doesn't mean that you shouldn't deserve the same benefits.
okay, well that's great.
It's a huge benefit for
Yeah.
everybody that's listening, and you
Yeah.
gotta, because American Warrior Radio provides an opportunity for businesses that truly support our troops to come on and make a presentation, say, hey, we're out here, we're looking to support and help you guys and gals, and you for stepping up. I really appreciate it. And Store Smart in general, obviously a good company. How many units do you have out there?
Currently, we have 847.
Wow, that's a bunch.
I thought maybe like 80.
No, and like I said, that includes non-climate and climate control. We also have parking available. So if you had an RV, a car that you may not be driving as much as you would like to, or if especially going overseas, you have vehicles, park them with us. We'll make sure they get taken care of. Security is pretty much our number one concern.
Well, tell me a little bit about that. Is there around-the-clock security?
There is. I actually live on the facility. So
You're on-site manager. Ain't nobody, everybody that comes in and goes out, is there.
Exactly, and we do have everything's gated. We have 36 cameras on the property just to make sure that nobody's messing with anybody's belongings. And the way I like to think of it is, since I live on that property, I consider that whole place my home, and I'm not going to let anybody come into my house and mess with my belongings.
Great.
And the fact that it's very secure too. You have to have a gate code to get in and out. I mean, it's just it's well done, and we appreciate it. And it's also nice and clean and fresh. And it's not. There's a couple around here. Let's be honest, that are a little dingy. But we're blessed enough as AVET Project to have your assistance in helping with our rent. I can't thank you enough for offering this, but you also have, like you said, the U-Haul and the packing supplies, so really any kind of need a person may have for storage or shipping or moving, you got an answer for it.
Yeah, and at all of our locations, and typically when Store Smart goes into an area, we try and find a military base that's close. That's kind of one of our big foundation stones. We have facilities next to Fort Bragg, the Warner Robins Air Force Base, of course Patrick right down the road from us. And so it's really good if you already store with Store Smart and you're being transferred to another base. Your account with that discount will transfer to another facility, and it will just make it that much easier. And of course you're going to be taking that U-Haul to another facility. We'll offer whatever benefit we can to help you all out.
Pretty smooth transition.
Yeah, and I was going to say, some of you may be thinking that as a military person and you're on active duty and you move, the military pays for that. But you may or may not know they will also pay you to move, and you usually end up making some money on top of what the cost, like through Luke's outfit, would cost for a U-Haul or anything like that.
Right.
So, remember that option also.
Exactly. And I also want to congratulate Store Smart and you, Luke, in particular, for becoming a member of the Cocoa Beach Chamber's Military Affairs Council, the MAC.
Yes.
And you're not just a member, you're an active member. We got a lot of members, but not a lot of them are active, and we appreciate your presence there, too.
Oh, and that's like I said, it's almost a blessing for us to be able to help people out like that. We realize that these men and women go out and risk their lives every single day, and it's the least we could do to give them a discount on storage.
Okay, so let's give them the nuts and bolts. You got a website they can go and visit and check out some pictures of the facility?
Of course. And actually, if you go to storesmart.org, you can look at all of our facilities. There's pictures of all the properties, and like I said, we are throughout the Southeast, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. We have one in Colorado. So like I said, we're constantly expanding, constantly getting new properties, and we're just trying to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
And what about a phone number? Local?
Phone number, my local phone number would be 321-433-3341, and either myself or Jack will be present. It doesn't go to a call center. You talk to me or Jack directly, and so when you get a quote or you get a special deal, of course, you know that when you come in, you're going to be talking to us and not just somebody on a phone somewhere.
Give that phone number one more time.
That phone number is 321-433-3341.
Okay, folks, this has been Luke Westbrooks with Store Smart right here in Rockledge. Couldn't be more convenient, right off Highway 1. It's easy to get to. Once you make that turn off of Highway 1 and you make that turn on it, what is it, Schenck?
Schenck Avenue, yes, sir.
That's how you pronounce it? Schenck? It's
yes,
a weird name, but
I know.
S-C-H-E-N-K. Just go down to the end. You can't miss the U-Hauls. Turn west and you're right there at the office. Very nice. And Luke, thank you so much for being here today and sharing this neat opportunity. What's the big takeaway, Glenn?
This is a free discount
For your military
Smart
service.
Storage.
That's right. Up to 30% off for military ID holders.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Outstanding. Thank you again.
Gentlemen, it is my pleasure. Thank y'all for so much for letting me come on today.
You bet. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
Merry Christmas to you as well. Merry Christmas to the troops once again.
And Glenn, as always, again, this is a local business. Well, they're a national business, but they have local representation that's offering a significant discount to our troops.
Yep, supporting our troops, and that's absolutely marvelous.
But we got a lot more coming at you, folks, because on our line right now, we have Dr. Ken Vehec, who has been a facilitator with AVET Project's PR&R, Project Recuperation and Reintegration Retreat program. And Glenn, the real emphasis here is we want to talk about depression during the holidays.
Well, the effects of stress during the holidays,
Stress,
for sure.
okay, for
Depression
sure.
being one of those things.
So, with that said, Dr. Vehec, can you hear us? Oh, wow, you're coming through like you were right in the room with us.
Is Luke still here?
He's inside the recording room. I can't do microphone, so I'm going to go in here with Vince. Stay right there.
A thumbnail sketch of what some of these are. But what's your number one priority in getting the information out there to the troops that are suffering this separation anxiety from their families?
I'm recording, but it's fine.
If they're
I'm
over
not-
there in
I'm
Afghanistan
not
or
using
in
the
the
mic, so
DMZ
you're
in
fine.
Korea, wherever they might be listening to us, and they're away from their family because a lot of these places, Glenn, as you know, and Doc, as you know, are unaccompanied. That means they can't take their family with them.
Oh, absolutely, and that by itself is a stressful situation and a depressing situation.
So give us some helpful hints on how to tackle that and cope with it.
Well, one of the best ways that I found, like when I was deployed on independent duty, was to keep a journal and then to be able to share that with my family when I got home, because that's the way it was back when I was in. Well, today with electronic media, I still recommend you keep a journal, but at least be able to forward a letter or an email or a text or something to let them know how you're feeling and just stay in contact. But it's really important to sit down and write something every day about your life, to keep your family involved in your life as well as for them to keep you involved in theirs. And that helps to reduce the stress greatly.
Well, and there's a recent article in Forbes, believe it or not, that addresses the article that appeared in the Journal of American Medical Association regarding suicides. And obviously, we've talked about this, and we can't stress it enough. What's the number, Doc? Like 23 a day veterans are committing suicide?
Yep, it's in the 20s, yes it is, unfortunately. And it's a sad thing to see.
Well, and in this article, they mentioned that these multiple deployments obviously have an increased incidence of suicide. When they come back, they're either not able to reintegrate successfully back in their families or the civilian workplace,
Or all of the above.
Yeah.
So what do they do? I mean, what are some foundational building blocks to try and overcome? I know it's a huge subject, but give us a couple nuggets of wisdom.
Well, one of the things that you can't stress enough is that, it does take the strength of a hero to ask for help. And if you're feeling in any way, shape, or form other than you normally do, that it might be a sign that, it's time to go find somebody to talk to. And you can start off with, any one of the vet counselors or somebody that's even just a good friend. And if they see something, say, maybe take their advice and go talk to somebody else. But you really have to look deep inside yourself to find out, these are thoughts that are occurring to me that don't normally occur or I haven't thought of, and it becomes bothersome if it becomes invasive in your daily life. If you find yourself daydreaming at a light about different things that just aren't good for you. You're sitting there in traffic and you're 1,000 miles away, or you're back on the battlefield. Those are some indicators that you may need to have somebody talk to you, or you listen to you at least.
And for those guys and gals, let's say, that are on active duty, let's say they're out in the Persian Gulf on a warship, just doing all of our maneuvers out there, keeping our waterways safe, and and they notice one of their fellow sailors
WMEL.
acting differently, what would be some of the signs
John,
or
here, what's
symptoms a
up?
person should look for in somebody that may be at risk?
Well, somebody that may be at risk,
As
you'll
soon as
notice
I
that
am
there'll be
done with American Warrior Radio and I'm done with their Skype
a little
guest,
bit
I'll
of
be
a
stepping
less
in with Lily to
emotional
make
response
sure
for
we do it.
anything. There'll be an apathy, basically, for anything that they're doing.
Alrighty.
You'll
Hey, actually, quick
notice
question.
that their work may
Lauren
begin to
Trent
suffer,
called and
the
said
attention
that
to
her
detail,
husband's
the
windshield got
distractibility
smashed
of the
in by a
individual,
vandal last night.
or the
So they're
complete
having
and
to
total
deal with that today,
withdrawal
and they don't think they'll
socially.
be able to do
You
the
know,
show. They wanted to know
I
if
just
it would
rather
be
stay in my
possible to
bunk.
rerun
I'm not
last
going to go
week's
anywhere.
show.
I
Is
don't
that
want to go
on
and do any of the ship's functions or anything like that.
Well, it's
While
not
they're on
posted
their
yet,
off time,
but
and
would
when
the
they're
audio
on,
still be
then
on
they're
the
at their
on the stream?
post, but they're
Because
not
I know
really
you said
there.
Audacity to
They're,
record
you
that
know,
every
again, they're
Saturday.
1,000 miles away.
So what would be the best thing, or maybe a best way, one way for a friend that notices this to conduct an intervention to try and get this person to seek some help?
Well, being that I was in the Navy, I think I can speak to this one pretty well. It's always the simplest
Right.
way is to say, hey, you want to go grab a cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
Sit
have
down
the
there.
time,
Simple as
so
that.
I
It
just
doesn't
need to
have to be,
find
you
it.
know,
Where would the
well, I
file
gotta
be on the hard
grab you
drive?
by the arm and take you to the chaplain, or, you know, take you to the chief, or, you know, something. No, just sit down and have a cup of coffee and say, hey, what's going on?
in a
How
very
you doing?
non-threatening way,
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
and just carry on a conversation and see if they can self-identify some of the problems that
Got
they're
it. Okay, I'll
dealing
look for
with.
it.
You know,
Thank you very much.
And if you get the impression that there is something going on and the person's still insistent, no, I'm fine, I'm okay, then it's time to involve, you know, the chain of command and say, look, I've been talking to him and there's just something, it's not the person I know. There's something different.
So if they were on the flight deck of a aircraft carrier, and while they were there physically, they may not have been there completely mentally, and you noticed, like you said, their work efficiency slipping, there's got to be a reason for that. And especially, I mean, can we say that with some degree of confidence that the holiday season can bring on a lot of this just by itself?
The holiday season itself, it produces these, no matter where you're stationed and what you're doing, if you're separated from family and friends, you know, if you're isolated out there, even if you're on an aircraft carrier with 5,500 other people, and, you know, you can still be lonely. So, yeah, the holidays themselves, based on what they are, you know, this is a time of celebration, a time of rejoicing, but those of us that have made the choice to be away from our families, it can get a little taxing. So, yeah, just because you're not be able to celebrate this year. I mean, I missed, 4 Christmases when I was in during all my tours. And each one of them was a little difficult. And you see different stressors that come on because of that. You know, the desire to be with your loved ones is very powerful. And it doesn't take much to, you know, push somebody to the dark side there.
Well,
So-
before we get on to the issue of families and children and how they're impacted, let me throw another scenario out for you.
Sure.
A combat veteran, let's say, has come back from the war and they've reintegrated. Maybe they're working for the post office as a letter carrier or something like that. But these they keep ruminating about thoughts on the battlefield, so they clearly have, let's say, PTSD, and then you throw the holiday mix on top of that. What's their best plan of attack to try and deal with what they're facing?
Wow. Well, as long as they're, you know, maybe not interacting with the public, that's probably one of the better things that you could do for somebody that's got PTSD during this time of
Hey,
the
Ken,
year.
you don't happen to have a
Because
USB
everyone's going to be
flash
coming up to the
drive
counter
with you,
saying
do you?
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays,
do?
and the last thing they want to do is,
How
you
much
know,
space is on
respond
it?
to that. And the more you
Probably
force
a lot.
somebody into that
Any
situation,
chance I can borrow it? I need to move a
more is
very
gonna
large
boil
file
underneath
off
the
of that
surface, and you
computer
don't know what's
here.
going to
Yeah, I'll send
happen
you
once
an
that hits that
email.
boiling point. And,
Whenever. You want me to hold that?
possibly explodes.
Yeah. Just
So,
trying to get the volume of
just to be aware
Sure.
of what your limitations are during this time. I mean, those of us that have PTSD understand, you know, we've been dealing with it for a long time. And we know what our tolerances are, what points we can go up to in that. So to use a little bit of what you've learned from, you know, the counseling situations or for just general experience and find the outlets that you need. You know, maybe you can take a few more shorter breaks rather than one long break. Be able to walk away, have your coworkers aware of what's going on so that, you know, you have the ability to have an exit strategy.
Exactly. So don't necessarily broadcast that you're in a deep depression or a funk or PTSD is overwhelming or the holidays too much, but just, you know, kindly ask your coworkers to pick up a little slack for you maybe.
Yeah, and during the holiday season especially, it's one of these things where, you know, you can get overwhelmed no matter what you're doing, and overwhelmed by other people who are, you know, want to push the holiday on you or push whatever holidays there are on you or whatever holiday cheer, and you just need to be able to go out and let that dissipate somewhere.
Okay, so another important aspect of all this is the fact that when we've got all these troops that are deployed, or they're PCS'd over to a non-accompanied tour, and little Johnny and Susie are back home with Mom, who's frazzled because it's the holidays, she's got to pay bills, got to take care of the kids, get them to school, do this, that, and the other. And these children don't have their dad and some of their moms. What's your best advice for the parent that is present to help these kids understand what's going on and cope with the fact that here's another Christmas where Dad ain't there?
Yeah, well, the idea of keeping the holidays as normal as possible, well, you know, keep the routine the same. Children need routines. They need to have the authority figure setting the bar for them, basically, so that they go through life with this normalcy, and they understand that, look, their dad or their mom is in the military, and this is part of what their life is going to be like. So to treat it any other way would actually be of detriment to the child and to the parent that's staying home. You need to celebrate it. You can always take a picture of the individual, put it on the table, decorate it. You know, say hello and talk to him or her every day. You know, good day, how are you today? And just to have the picture present on the holiday table is something that can be done for the people that are staying behind.
That's an excellent thought, and I wanted to get in that there is a national suicide line which has a special line for veterans, and if you folks out there know or are concerned about a veteran, or you are a veteran contemplating suicide, which is by my reckoning a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Man, that's profound, man. I always love it when you say that.
You need to call 1-800-273-8255. When I answer, press 1. That's 1-800-273-8255. Press 1, and that'll get you started on the road to hooking up with people to help you out.
And Dr. Ken, also, I just want to touch on, so having a photo of the absent parent, the one that's deployed or wherever they may be in the military, and having the kids, kind of like the football players running onto the field where they reach up and touch the sign or whatever, the goal, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Just making that daily contact, just making a routine of it can help them.
Yes. You know, everyone enjoys structure in their life, but children require it a lot more. And if it becomes part of what their normal daily routine is, then, you know, it helps to not only pass the time, but it also strengthens the connection while the parent is serving overseas or deployed.
Yeah, it really can make a world of difference, and especially in this day and age where we've got social media, and some of our troops, not all, let's not say everybody does, but a lot of them have the ability to interact electronically, you know, through that media, whether it's email. I mean, that's kind of old, but now it's FaceTime with iPhones,
Right.
and a variety of other methods, Facebook and what have you. It's good to keep those connections going as well.
90 seconds.
Yes, most definitely. Keep as much contact as you can in this modern day and age. And that's one of the keys. I mean, when I was on submarines, we were able to get maybe 5 communications per patrol. So, you know, 5 over a 16-week period, that's not a lot compared to the almost instant communication you can have today.
Exactly. Well, folks, again, we've been talking with longtime supporter, sponsor, and facilitator of AVAT projects, Dr. Ken Vehec. Thank you, sir, for spending a few minutes with us and our audience today and sharing some of your wisdom. We really appreciate and wish you and yours a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
It is my pleasure always, and I want to wish the troops a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and I hope to have a better New Year, and, you know, everybody come home.
That's a fact, Jack. Okay.
Thanks for your continuing service, and Merry Christmas. And with that, don't forget.
AM 1300 WMEL.